Welcome back to the Have Not Room. I am Ben here with Chad and Brian to talk about week one of Big Brother 28. We just had our first live eviction of the season. We had our first player evicted out of the house. Ashley is the unanimous evictee here. There was a lot of back and forth, up and down, left and right about this vote for the last 48 hours or so. But yeah, by late last night, it definitely felt like this was the likely outcome.
Yeah, obviously big blow for Barstool. I'm sure they were all super glued to their televisions tonight. But at least she has that to fall back on. Unlike, yeah, she said that he just, Irish goodbye its job. So this is a huge win for him.
Yeah, Chad, you had a very close call with your winner pick here.
Yeah, that was a close one. I think I may have gotten the wrong read on Miss Taylor, but we live to see another week, so I'm just gonna keep praying.
There were 14 votes, and she got 0 of them, so that counts for something. I think
that is a record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You want to be on the good side of that record, usually.
Yes, absolutely.
Got one thing right.
Yeah, so we'll see if she becomes the person who everyone puts up on the block, or if she can kind of right the ship going forward here.
Yeah, we do kind of see this episode, the start of the breakdown of what the kind of two sides of the house are going to look like, and I definitely, if the not Taylor side wins an HOH, could see in a handful of situations her potentially seeing the block as a pawn, but probably not a target. So that's at least good.
Yeah, I kind of think she falls in that category either way, just because she's clearly not a threat. She's kind of like the outcast in the house from the get-go. So hopefully she's just a pawn and then somehow makes jury and skates by. We'll see. I don't know.
We've seen it a bunch of times, right? Like this person gets put on early and they become like the safe person to put on, but they don't really have a chance of going home. So it's like, yeah, well, it's not so bad, I guess.
Yeah, we see it a lot, especially with the blockbuster seasons, because with 3 nominees, your options are more limited, and having a perpetual pawn is a lot more likely. But yeah, again, means more opportunity for her to save herself, and hopefully more opportunity to be safe and kept around into the future. But yeah, what do you guys think of the episode this week? I thought they were pretty good. Usually, I think the first week episodes do a decent job of at least setting the scene for the season.
Yeah, I think it gives a good picture of the house, and obviously we all talk on the side about the live feeds, but I think the show did a overall good job about setting the scene, letting the casual viewer know what's really going on, the 2 big alliances, and who's really running the show. So I think it was a very good first week.
Yeah, certainly helped along by having 3, I guess 4 with Jason. He did make a moment this week, but having people who know how these shows work, know that, they want people playing hard from the jump. And I think we're going to be in for a really good season for that, because I feel like, Ben, you probably haven't gotten any sleep this week having to keep up with these crazy house guests.
Yeah, I mean, I've luckily gone to bed at somewhat reasonable hours and tried to catch up. Luckily, with the waffling that happened yesterday, it had kind of wrapped up by around 11 p.m. EST, which was good. At around 10 to 11 EST, I think it was pretty clear to me that it had fully flipped back around against Ashley, and it wasn't changing. So that was nice. I do appreciate the kind of the heaviest bulk of the Big Brother kind of machinations are like the Friday through Monday. So like, it gives you a little bit in the weekend to kind of see the gaming that happens, particularly surrounding the veto, which happens on Saturday. So it hasn't been too bad. I mean, look, when we just had last season, Morgan and Vince staying up until 7 a.m. PST like every other night, basically having the same conversation in circles for days on end. It's hard to top that.
Yeah, probably won't be topped. Those two are just so cracked out, and with each other, just like added on. But you know what? We got Rick and Angela here. They're middle aged, so they probably want to go to bed a little bit earlier than Vince and Morgan did. Especially with Morgan being a streamer. I feel like streamers, they're always up late.
Yeah, hopped up on G Fuel,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I don't have any G Fuel, but I got the cup for it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this is fun. It was kind of like a semi-slow start to the week where it really felt like the crossovers had very much like locked down the house structure and like kind of were looking to potentially just suffocate the house out of the game. And then this whole Ashley thing happens, which the show, I think, did a very good job of covering up all of the crossovers mistakes and making this only on Haley and Ashley, because the mess that Ashley causes here, particularly with Melody, is largely the fault of Dee and Barrett and Drew, and to like a very minor, lesser extent, Angela, but primarily Drew, Barrett, and Dee. Drew and Barrett, like Drew in particular, really, like Drew is the main one who kind of like makes this mess. And so they're kind of being a little bit protected in the edit here, because they basically on Tuesday night headed into the Wednesday where the waffling happens, instructed Ashley to go and campaign with like these kind of very specific instructions that included trying to basically manufacture a split house to try to like spook people into thinking that they weren't going to be voting with the majority if they didn't vote for her to stay. And Ashley kind of extrapolates that into, I'm going to list out all of these people who I think are going to vote for me to stay, and that blows up people's spots. Yeah.
Interesting. It kind of just, the edit made Ashley just look like an idiot. Like, why would you?
They were hard on her in the edit. Feel a little bit bad for her, given the additional context. That being said, you shouldn't be blowing people's spots up like that. That alliance has done such a good job of being a little bit under the radar, and then not so much anymore.
Yeah, it's tricky because this kind of like, it's not really like a brigade Pretty Boys cookout structure, like as strict as those structures were, where like in each of those cases, each of the members had basically like a parachute plus one. The brigade called it the Parachute Alliance, and the Pretty Boys basically did like a 1-for-1 copy of the brigade. And then the cookout expanded it to 6 people, and they called it their plus ones. So like, Tiffany had Claire, Chada had DX, Xavier had Alyssa, etc. Kylan had Sarah Beth, right? Like this was like that's a much more cleaner kind of, structure. Whereas the crossovers don't really have that clean of a structure. Like they kind of like half-assed it a little bit. They have the Red Corner trio as like kind of like an appendage to them at this point that is almost like productively functioning as an 8-person alliance now. But the other kind of parachute people that they've tried to pick up, for instance, Drew with Melody, which we saw in the episodes, but also Barrett and Angelo were both trying with Mallory for a bit. Devins has been trying with Rome for a bit. They're not really like folded into the structure in any meaningful capacity in terms of influence. Drew has tried really, really hard to influence Melody, for instance, and come up quite short over and over again. So at a certain point yesterday, the crossovers just kind of like decided that Ashley was too much of a liability to justify them forcing a full house divide, because as Julie does mention a couple of times in this eviction episode while they're voting, the crossovers do have the votes if they want to save Ashley, but it would require forcing a tie and then Dee breaking the tie, and they were not willing to do that.
Yeah, not week one, not for Ashley.
Yeah.
What do you think Ashley's legacy is going to be here, Ben? In 5 years, will we remember that she was on the show?
I mean, Ashley was fun. I appreciated that she like tried really hard to campaign once the crossovers kind of like gave her a kick in the ass. Obviously, she did not do a phenomenal job. And in fact, if she had done nothing, probably would have been much more likely to stay, ironically. But also, I can't really fully blame her, or
Yeah.
there's criticisms to be had, right? Her basically completely flubbing the Enzo comp and like stopping trying to like realistically find the correct capsule. Not good. We don't really obviously that part was edited, so we don't know how far behind she was at that point. But like it really felt like she didn't even try. So that's not great. That kind of put her in the position where, you know, she ends up on the block eventually because of the structures that Dee was forming. Puts, from my perspective, zero effort into forming any kind of early alliances. Was just like way far behind. And this could be said about all four of the nominees from week one. Is the reason that all four of them got nominated was just that they were kind of just like playing on slow speed when this was like an extremely fast-paced house compared to previous seasons. And they just kind of got left behind, and they were kind of playing catch up. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I think those are the main reasons that she's kind of struggled here. And then on top of that, she never really was able to find her footing socially. She never really found her people. This was, I think, a bad cast for her. Yeah, I think that she's just kind of not really cut out for specifically this game in this house. It's just not really much with her. So I think that, like, as far as first boots go, like, the edit probably made her look worse than she was. She definitely made her share of mistakes, and the passivity did not help. But there's been significantly worse players to go out first.
Yeah, and I do think it's a really tough spot. Like, she lost the Enzo comp, but then had no shot to win HOH, and she didn't get picked for the veto. So it's like, that's pretty unlucky.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that there's like this format was only 3 people are going to be competing for HOH, and you're not one of them. That's tough.
Yeah, no, it's a bad format for sure. Just in terms of like game design, but also like this was kind of bound to happen to somebody, right?
Yeah.
With the way this format was structured. And yeah, it did happen to her. And obviously, like, Barrett also was in that position, but the thing is, like, Barrett immediately jumped into the power structure and, like, you know, was in with the majority alliance within like 24 hours of him losing that cop. So like it's just kind of goes to show the different like levels of gameplay there, because it really did not seem like Ashley had any kind of hustle to her game. And when in a situation where she should have, there's no urgency for her to like kind of fix the position that the bad position she was put in.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of times we're like, oh, you want to kind of lay low week one, not make too many waves, but just completely worked against her in this case.
Yeah, it's house based, right? Like this house, everyone's playing hard and fast. You have to play hard and fast, or you're going to get left behind. And like realistically, the people who are in the best spot right now are the people that are gaming really hard, even if it is a little bit messy. Because like it's just kind of a matter of, throw a million darts at the dartboard and enough of them are going to hit that you're going to get a few bullseyes. And like, yeah, you might like prick yourself with some of them because you're like throwing them too fast, but like, you're still going to get more bullseyes than the guy, sitting next to you trying to like carefully throw one every single hour,
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what should we expect going forward? Like, can you kind of draw the, I guess, sides of the house right now?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're kind of looking at like not a clean 8-8 split, but like pretty near to an 8-8 split. I would say Yash is the closest to a free agent, given that like people have kind of been more hands off with him being on the block, and with him potentially, like, if he didn't win this blockbuster, there was for sure a chance he goes home. So like people didn't like have a ton of urgency to recruit him fully into the fold. But he probably is more close to the Rome side of things, as we saw in the episode, So right now we're basically just looking at the crossovers plus red corner, which people are calling Red Cross, to like, simplify it. That group of 8, which is basically the crossovers using the red corner as like a shield in front of them from the other side, because most of the other players are probably going to be putting up some combination of Chuck, Haley, Kamu, or maybe 2 out of the 3 of them with like a Devins or a D thrown in there. But Haley and Chuck being the primary targets from that side of the house, which is basically the intent of what the crossovers have been doing. They've been completely like throwing Haley. Anytime anything goes wrong, they just blame it on Haley. Like this whole situation that blew up with Ashley somehow ended up blowing back on Haley. And the show like weirdly reinforced this too, where they showed Haley showing or telling Ashley those 8 names. Like the show is also like buying into this false narrative that the crossovers are spinning, that this was all Haley's fault. Which is kind of funny, but like, and kind of simplifies the narrative, I guess. But yeah, it wasn't Haley's fault. But that is like one of the reasons why, Haley is being targeted. Also, a lot of people in the house just simply don't like Haley. Her personality rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Like she has kind of a very abrasive and like forward personality that a lot of people in the house find, disliking to. So it is the nicest way to put it. So yeah, Haley and Chuck are the most likely people to be nominated and evicted from that side. And then on the other side, we have like kind of a mess of people that aren't really in an amalgam. Like they're not really in like a formalized large alliance yet. But that structure does exist to the point where they're basically functioning as one. They functioned as one in terms of like driving this vote because all of them were so pro voting out Ashley that it kind of forced the crossovers into this position. But we saw one of the kind of core pieces of this alliance on the episode tonight with the Mama's Angels, which is the Jason, Lala, Rome. To me, that 3 is the core of this other side. Those are the 3 that are playing the like hardest from the like social perspective of that side of the house. Lala is a little bit passive, and Rome is a little bit still distracted by the showmance. But those 3 are still probably the social kind of fabric of that side of the house. And then they have Taylor, who is closest to Lala, but also has like a decent relationship with both Rome and Jason. But definitely like the connection piece there is through Lala. You have Lyric, who has a good connection with Jason, and Jason, Rome, and Lyric have a 3-person alliance that they call. I think they have like a throuple name. I can't remember what it's called. I think maybe it's just called Love Triangle. I can't remember what it's called, something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, basically like it's a showman plus Jason. Obviously, Lyric is connected to this group through Rome, and then Lyric is close to both Mallory and Melody. People are calling that trio the Littles. Mallory and Lyric have a final two. And Melody and Lyric have a final two that they recently renamed the Sirens, based off of like the musical name. You know, they're like kind of
Cross promotion for the Odyssey this weekend.
Sure, there you go. Yeah, originally they were the Hottie Harmonies or Harmony Hotties, something like that, but they changed it to the Sirens.
That's a good name too, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, both are like the vibe of two women with music-based names is the idea, which is like something that people predicted in the preseason. However, with this, like, there's been a number of things that have come out with Melody over the last few days that have made both Mallory and Lyric suspicious of her, that she's basically feeding information to Drew about them, which she is. And that has like kind of drawn a little bit of a wall up. So right now, I would say of that trio, Mallory and Lyric are closest. But there's other kind of alliances that are in this sphere. There's the Four Seasons Alliance, which is Lyric and Rome, and then Melody and Drew. Melody and Drew have a final two that's fake from Drew's perspective, real from Melody's perspective. That's also kind of like loosely flirt-mancy. So this is kind of like a two couples alliance, one real couple, one fake. And they each have this season that they're named after. Is that it? That might be it. But like that's basically the sides, right? We have the crossovers plus Red Corner side, which is like very, very kind of firm. 2 5-person alliances that overlap with the Drew and Devons in the middle, one more real than the other. And then the other side is like a bunch of kind of like loosely amalgamated duos and trios that are kind of sort of functioning as a larger alliance, but not formally.
I love that because it makes me feel like there could be a bit of fluidity. Obviously, tonight everyone voted the same. Whatever, it's week 1, but the longer we go, the more interconnected everything is. The more likely we'll get some drama and some interesting situations.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I think Angela knows about the Red Cross. Well, the Red Corner. So, I mean, we were texting about. I think it's that side's going to run the show unless Angela blows it up, which is highly likely.
Yeah, they haven't really shown a lot of they've talked about the Angela paranoia stuff, but the thing they showed on the episode to like indicate that Angela is paranoid is the one thing that she was kind of right about, which is that the other side is forming like more solidified alliances. There wasn't a big alliance like she has been saying, but she was correct that like Rome, Jason, and Lala at that point were solidifying an alliance. So the real actual paranoia that Angela has been dealing with for the last few days has been paranoia that Drew is either snaking them in some capacity, is going to flip on them, or is not giving them a full amount of information. And Drew's messiness, especially yesterday with the Ashley stuff, has exacerbated this a little bit. She does continuously get talked down from this by usually like a Barrett or a Devons, sometimes a D. But it is definitely something to keep an eye on. And if the crossovers do implode because of internal drama, it'll almost certainly be because of Angela being paranoid that Drew is screwing them. When in fact, Drew kind of like screwed up a lot of his game yesterday to try to like keep the alliance secret while maintaining this vote potentially flipping. He like legitimately almost burnt Melody as an ally and like kind of barely saved it in the end because he was able to play off Ashley's crazy behavior as just like her being, a nominee making shit up to try to like, save her ass and like not like an actual real thing that she had information about.
I would be very upset if I were Drew and like my game got blown up for being too loyal, but for someone just assuming I'm not being loyal, that would suck.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it'll be fun for us though. No offense, Drew. Kind of hoping it does happen that way.
Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on, like for sure. Because I don't know if it'll be something that in the immediate will come up, because I don't think that it's really going to be pertinent in the upcoming week or two. Because, like I said, the Lalas and the Jasons and the Romes of the world, or Rome was planning on throwing the HOH, last I had heard. But the Jasons and the Lalas of the world plan to target Red Corner, and in particular Chuck or Haley. So that should potentially make it so that like Angela is like at least feeling relatively safe within herself. And then the Red Corners are planning on obviously targeting the core of the other side, and in particular the Showmance. And Devins has talked about just putting the three littles in the block because he had heard information that Melody was coming after him, which was true, but then she backed off on it. But I don't think Drew had told Devins that she had backed off on it, so he still plans on targeting them. So yeah, right now, those are kind of the primary targets. It's Rome and or Lyric, and then Haley and or Chuck.
Dang, Showmance might get put up on week 2. That's
Yeah,
pretty brutal.
And it is fun because Lyric had heard all of this stuff from Ashley, because they showed on the episode Ashley telling this information to Melody because that was the most relevant, because Melody was the one who kind of blew it up by bringing it back to Drew and Barrett. But she also gave the same information to Lyric and Mallory. And Lyric kind of heard this, panicked a little bit, thought that she and Rome were basically like in the minority, came to Rome and was like, we're in trouble. We're going to go up on the block next week. We're going to like be left out of the vote. Like she was like full on panicking. They end up like, Rome basically brushes her off and doesn't really like take it seriously at all. Not a great way to handle it. And then turns it into like a joke and a way to flirt. And then he makes a bet with her and basically says, if both of us end up on the block next week, I will, make all 3 meals for you for a day. But if we don't end up on the block, then you have to make all 3 meals for me for the day. And they made this bet. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I mean, this is like an impossible thing because we don't know what the competition will even be. But who do you think is going to be most likely to win power here tonight?
I mean, I think that it's probably going to be a booth comp. It's probably going to be one of the like ones where they like flash videos on the screen and you have to like hit, A or B or, like
Yeah.
true or false, something like that. I think it's going to be probably something like that. That's like, I think, been a pretty common early HOH in these like larger seasons with the blockbusters. So that's kind of like an anyone's game type situation. The only person who had shown to be particularly bad at this kind of thing was Ashley, who is now gone. So yeah, I don't know. I can't remember who came in first in the Enzo comp. I think it might have been maybe Yash. I don't know.
I think it was Yash. Yeah.
Yeah. So that might be an indication of who could do well. A Yash HOH would be a lot of fun because I have no clue what he's going to do. He's not really like fully locked in. Like he feels good with Rome, but and Rome will probably try to have a little bit of influence on his HOH. But yeah, that would be, I think, one of the more interesting ones.
Yeah, that was my next question: is who's going to be the most interesting HOH? I was going to say Yash would be interesting for sure.
Yeah, a Yash would be interesting. I think a Mallory would be interesting. Mallory would probably just do either Chuck Haley Kamu or Chuck Haley D. Those are kind of the 2 permutations that she's talked about doing. I don't know. I think like the issue is with these sides kind of like low key solidifying. Most of the HOH outcomes are just going to be targeting the pieces of the other side. I think a Devon's HOH would be interesting, but it might be too solidifying for the vets. But it would be kind of interesting if he does put up the 3 littles, how Drew manages the relationship with Melody, with her on the block from somebody that he's supposed to be close to hypothetically protect her from. That could be interesting drama at the very least. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting. I think Jason would be interesting. He would probably have an insane HOH-itis. Haley would also probably have insane HOH-itis and could potentially be fun. I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of potentially interesting HOHs, but there are also kind of a lot of straightforward ones. So
I think Jason could be fun, especially if the whole Angela mom story comes out somehow.
I think the one interesting one would be Lyric, because Lyric has started to draw some Lauren Domingue comparisons, which is, the Lauren thing last season was like Lauren is scared, right? And then Lyric's thing, which people in the house, particularly Devons, have started making fun of her for in like a pretty mocking way, like a negative way, is I don't know. Like any question that anyone asks Lyric, like no matter how innocuous it is, she just says I don't know. Like she's incapable of giving her opinion to people outside of her very tight core group. Even to Rome she says it a few times, but yeah, Devons was hanging out with maybe Dee and Angela or some point, and he was just like, I can't fucking stand Lyric though. I don't know. So that could be fun.
She doesn't know.
She would waffle like crazy. Rome would try to control the HOH to some degree, but also probably I actually don't know what Rome would do, because I think he might try to fully control the HOH, but he also might be extremely hands off and just they just spend all day in the HOH bed, making out and not actually strategizing.
That's likely.
So,
which everyone in the bunk bed situation would be very happy.
Yeah.
That was rough. Was it Yash and Mallory?
And Mallory.
Both just I need to get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be respectful of your housemates. Come on.
No, they were just whispering, Brian. That's the cover that they've been telling you. They just, because Lyric lost her voice, they just have to whisper really, really close to each other. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Perfect cover.
Yeah, they're definitely not making out, and everyone doesn't definitely know that they're in a very open showcase.
Yeah, it's crazy. So quick, but you know what? Good for them, I guess. Yeah.
In every sense.
I was gonna say, is it possible that they were shifted over from Love Island casting, but that hasn't been on CBS for a long time, so unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of jokes this season about there being a lot of Love Island rejects. This is, I believe, the most single cast that we've had in a long time. Everyone in the cast except for Devons and Angela, I believe, are single.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So.
We also have, I guess we haven't talked about this. We're talking about showmances. There is another potential showmance that is in the early stages, but they're very much at this point trying to not. They're as opposed to Roman Lyric, who are going to fully make out multiple times a day and then try to gaslight everyone to saying that they're not a showmance. This other pair is actually trying to be a little bit more subtle about it. And that would be Dee and Barrett are currently in this flirt-mance situation.
Really?
Definitely not accelerated to the Lyric and Rome level yet, but lots of cuddling.
Listen, Dee loves a showmance. All right,
Mm-hmm.
Whether Survivor, The Challenge, or now Big Brother, Dee's gonna be in a showmance.
Yeah, I mean, look, it worked out for her on Survivor 45, right? She goes to the final 3 with her showmance. A lot of people very hard on Austin for basically selling out Drew and choosing Dee over Drew, and then going to the end with Dee and then losing. So hopefully,
what are the odds that this guy sells out the Drew on this season?
That's true. We do have another Drew that is also in a close alliance with the guy that Drew is potentially showmancing. So the comparisons write themselves. And
Dee's I already know how to win. I have this strategy locked down.
Just gave it Drew.
Yeah. And to be fair, when I looked at this cast preseason, one of the things I said was, if I'm in the Barrett spot, the way to win the game is to get into a showmance with D, ride a power alliance into the end game, and then just cut D at the final 3. You have to just cut D at the final 3.
Yeah.
Right? And like, if Barrett does that, I think he wins the game. So like, it's not a bad spot for sure. But, it is a, 85-day season, and like making that cut at the very end is easier said than done. Like it kind of takes nerves of steel to be able to, especially with a showmance, not just like a final 2, but with a showmance, like, bring it down to that point as like a pair, and then like cut their throat literally at the last possible second, take the win from them.
That would be legendary if he did that. That'd be up there in wins for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Who's the guy on Big
context.
Brother? Who's the guy on BB Can who did that, Ben?
Well, I mean, John and Netta is like the comparison point, right? Like, but John and Netta, to be fair, were not technically in a showmance during the season. They were in a final 2. There was a lot of like kind of loose flirting while they were in the house. John was in a relationship. After the game, John left his relationship, and John and Netta dated for a little bit. But yes, in BB Can 2. Yeah, in BB Can 2, John and Netta basically ran the game. They basically took control of the game around week 4 or 5 after the Canada's HOH twist. It broke up the first 5 alliance. Never really let it go. Brought it all the way down to the final 3. And John, who was the person who came in not really being a Big Brother fan, whereas Netta came in as a huge Big Brother super fan and basically taught John the game. And they brought it down to the final 3, and then John cuts Netta at the last possible second and wins the game. So the blueprint is there.
Yeah, Barrett, you got to do it. I feel like Barrett probably watches BB Can, right?
Probably, yeah. I assume so, yeah.
So he knows what's up.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an obvious play, right? Like the issue is, it's not like the issue isn't knowing to do it. The issue is like, being able to actually physically pull the trigger, right? Like it's not like it's harder than it sounds, right? Because it's very obvious to us on the outside, like, hey, say I evict D, win the game. Don't say I evict D, lose the game. But like, easier said than done.
Yeah, no, I get it.
What time can we expect feeds back, do you think?
Well, this is a thing because especially last season with the Blockbuster, we hadn't gotten feeds back until closer to like 2 or 3 a.m. EST a lot of the times on the Thursday nights. However, they have been very good about getting the feeds up quickly right after, like, usually when they say, oh, feeds are going to go live at X time, in historical sense, it's taken potentially another 30 to 45 minutes before the feeds actually fully come on. But on Friday night, they said feeds are on 9 p.m. at the very end of Unlocked. And I'm pretty sure the feeds actually came on like slightly before Unlocked fully ended. So like they've actually been on top of it. They've been better about like getting the feeds up after the EST episode, because I think one of the main reasons they waited up until like further into the night EST was they wanted the full like PSC episode to finish, and then they would have the HOH still running late, and then even when the HOH competition had finished, they still weren't turning it on for a couple hours. So I'm hopeful that the feeds come back on before midnight. That's historically before these Blockbuster seasons, when the feeds would normally come back around 11:30 to midnight EST.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited for that. I can't wait to see who wins HOH. I feel like this season is really off and running, despite a unanimous eviction tonight. I do think that it's going to be a very entertaining season.
Yeah. We have HOH to look forward to tonight. We have noms tomorrow. And as was teased at the end of the eviction episode, we do have this BB time capsule twist starting tomorrow. Tomorrow, at some point, somebody will be told that they have won the vote. They'll be brought into the secret room, probably in the upstairs one that they do some of the comps in. And they'll do some kind of challenge comp thing. There's been a lot of speculation on the mechanics of how this will actually work. I guess we'll find out. We may find out tomorrow in the feeds if the person talks to the cam or talks to an ally about it. Or we might just have to wait until Sunday night's episode to see exactly how it plays out. But we should hopefully by this time tomorrow know who went into the time capsule and whether or not they won the power or got the punishment. So we have any speculation on that, because I think there are some early contenders for who is likely to be getting this power, or at least getting the opportunity to get this power.
Yeah, I think any of the three vets, very likely they're going to be voted there. I'll say the casuals don't love Angela, but I feel like they'll probably love Rick Devens. So I think he's going to be the one to get this first shot.
Yeah, I agree. I think Devens will get it first.
I also agree. I think Devens is also the most likely person to get it. So that'll be fun if that's the case, to see what Devens does. So I do think right now Devin is probably in the best position in the house. He does. I don't know if he has as strong of a pull on the far side. He does have a really good one-on-one bond with Rome. Him and Rome have had a number of one-on-one check-ins to the point where I think like Devens would be protected by Rome. And one of the main reasons why Jason and Lala moved off Devens as a target in the short term was because of this connection that he had formed with Rome. And that's why they're looking at the primarily targeting the 3 red corner trio. And maybe even putting up Angela instead of Devens, but even they've moved off of Angela and might put up like a potential, potential Drew or potential D instead as a potential renom. So Devens is actually pretty well covered right now. There's like a couple of outside possibilities where he ends up as a renom, but even there, it's kind of like a little ticky-tack about whether he would be the primary renom option. So he's super well positioned. He has a great relationship with Camus. He has like a really good bond with like the Red Corner Trio in general. Within the structure of the crossovers, he is seen as the number 1 ally by D, Barrett, and Drew. That's 3 out of the other 4 members of the Alliance that see him as their number 1 within the Alliance. It's just a really, really crushing position right now from Devin. So if he, on top of that, gets a secret power and is able to like either wield it as a shield or a weapon, it's just going to further solidify his like really, really strong spot.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how it works, because I wasn't really thinking about it, but now that we know it's a secret thing and that nobody knows except for the person who wins it, unless obviously if they tell someone. Imagine if they lose it, like in the punishment, like what if the punishment is like getting locked up like Dan did for 24 hours? Like how are they they can't really keep that a secret. I wonder if the punishment's effective like right away. Because if you win something, you can either keep it in your pocket or they say you got to use it in 4 weeks, what pre-jury, whatever. So I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out.
Yeah, I assume the punishment has to be. I was gonna say, I assume the punishment has to be public, right? Like it would be kind of impossible for it to not be public. Because like you said, like a 24-hour solitary confinement is something that people have brought up as an option. I thought of like, the Sam the Robot punishment. I thought of like Brittany kicking the soccer ball and like, getting blisters on her feet and like, having like permanent nerve damage. I thought of like the piggy costume punishment that Izzy and Cameron had to do, like stuff like that. Like that kind of feels like the types of punishments we're probably likely to see. And yeah, obviously none of those are going to be hidden. So yeah, it would be interesting to see if somebody loses, what that consequence would be, where there is then a public knowledge that they were offered a power by America, basically, and then they flubbed it. What that changes with their dynamics with the House, because that could be either really good or really bad for their game.
Yeah, I mean, the powers given by America are always interesting because yeah, it's a great power, but then the rest of the cast knows, oh, America really likes this person for some reason. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way. But I think it'd be even worse if they lose because now it's like one, you lose, you have to deal with the punishment, and two, now the cast immediately knows who got picked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, yeah, it's just very interesting that it's going to be essentially public info for everyone. That's not something we really see on the show. It's usually like, oh, who got the thing, from the dark basement or the AI cloud. What was that called?
Yeah,
the app store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's actually interesting too, because of the mechanic of how the time capsule works. Because you can't get it multiple times, if you get it and then lose and get the punishment, I feel like that's almost worse for your allies, because nobody's going to really want to target you if they know that you can't get a power in the future. But they'll be able to kind of, rationalize in their brain, oh, if America likes X person, like say Devins gets it, if America likes Devins, then they're probably going to like D, and D is probably likely to get it, in the next week or two. So maybe we should take a shot at D so that she doesn't get the power, and maybe somebody else has a better chance of getting the power. Like that could be something that some line of logic that ends up happening that could end up burning somebody's game.
Yeah. No, it's super interesting. We're going to have to see how it plays out, but I expect Devins will be the guy, like we said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's the odds-on favorite for me. Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else for this week?
No, good week one.
Yeah, really fun week one. It definitely, I was worried that we were gonna get like kind of a steamroll season, but no, it looks like we're actually headed towards a split house season, which is always a fun time. We haven't really had like a full split house like this since BB20.
No, right.
So
hopefully both sides will be better than Faute.
Right. I think that it would be hard to be worse. I think we've seen enough. Like Jason, obviously, really hot mess, has made many mistakes, and we didn't really talk about it too much. But I do think that, like, at least from like an active game participation perspective, Taylor spends a lot of time in bed alone reading the Bible, and Yash has kind of been wishy-washy in terms of his activity, and Lyric doesn't really game particularly hard with people outside of her direct bubble. But I think that a lot of these players do have a good head and the shoulder. I think Rome is really good when he's locked in and not distracted by Lyric. I think Lala has a lot of potential. I think that Melody and Mallory both have a lot of potential when they have correct information. Mallory is extremely sharp and very perceptive. It's just right now that she's not in a lot of these conversations because she's kind of on the periphery of that group. But I think that if people started listening to her, they could probably start piecing together what's going on a little bit better. So yeah, really excited, really happy with what we got so far.
Yeah, same here.
Good cast.
Yep. Ben, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
No. Just very excited for the Beavs to come back. You can I guess follow me on Blue Sky. Even with the regular season going, I think I've posted maybe twice. So you're not missing much if you don't. I've deleted most of my social media. So yeah, it's just just join us here.
Join us here. Chad, anything you want to plug or promote?
No, I agree. Join us all here. This is where you're going to see at least me the most. I don't really use any other social media, so.
I think that's good and healthy, honestly.
Yeah.
As for me, I'm chronically online. Is destroying my mental health. But you can, check out the main channel, looking at everything. You can check out Those Fake Nerds for daily video game news videos over there. We got Wicked Good Sports. NFL season training camp is coming up. So I'll actually start making videos for that again. It's been a little, doldrum for sports news, specifically football. And then this is, of course, Better Radio, where we host all of our podcasts. This is the Have Not Room. We're also right now covering House of the Dragon in our pack of Mike's in Fire podcast. So go check that out if you're watching that show. It's been a lot of fun. Tamor has been my co-host for most of it this season. So yeah, there's tons of content. Go check it out, and we'll see you in the next one.